Welcome back to Arise Prime Time. I'm Charles Ikokwu, and for her perspective on the news and issues that you've heard on this program today and beyond, I'm joined now in the studio by the journalist, political affairs commentator, and Arise news analyst, Dr. Constance Ikokwu. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And I think there's a common theme running between what Professor Jibrin Ibrahim was saying and what the two gentlemen who just left were talking about, which is essentially how can the leadership, both at the federal and the state levels, get past the challenges that we've identified and actually succeed?
Certainly. Your first guest was very measured and quite positive in the way that he saw, his approach to things in Nigeria. And then the second guest had very valid points, persuasive arguments, on the economy. I mean, we have been facing a downturn, protracted downturn for some years now. Hence, the reason why so many people want to leave the country. The river thing though, observation is that during the time of our parents and grandparents, they did also go abroad for education. Most of them, if not all, came back to Nigeria because the circumstances were very good
for
them to come back, to return and contribute to the country. Today, many people go, they do not want to come back. So it lays bare the depth of the challenges that we have in the country.
Well, you did come back, though. I mean, you went and did your PhD in Spain, but you came back.
Yes, because I am passionate about Africa and Nigeria, and I believe that I am more valuable in this country, within the continent. The continent needs me more than Europe or America. That's my own view. And from experience and exposure, I know that I can give more here than over there. But let's go to the incoming government that they talked about, both at the federal and state level. There is something that we should be watching out for. President Muhammad Buhari has signed into law 19 bills. 16 of them were alteration to the Constitution, and it has removed some items from the concurrent list. No, from the exclusive list to the concurrent list. So, for instance, now, states have the power to generate electricity and distribute them. They also have the power. Yes, they also have the power to build railways. So these are no longer powers concentrated in at the federal government, where they do not have enough money to take off all these projects, and yet everybody is waiting for the federal government to make decisions. The challenge now for the states, is they now have to go out there. They have the powers. They have to go out there, collaborate with one another, seek for investments, seek for funds, and begin to change their states. Hopefully, I think there's something called the Nigeria Governors Forum. Usually they have inductions after swearing in or before swearing in. And then it's sort of like a peer group where they compare notes, help one another. I think this kind of organization should be utilized more heavily going forward.
That's a very good point. But in your assessment, these changes, constitutional amendments and all the rest of it that have been made, is it likely to be some time before there are real programs that can come into place where businesses can be incentivized to create the kinds of jobs that Nigerian youths want?
Yes, I reckon that it would take time. Nothing is going to happen overnight because the decay did not happen overnight. I mean, the federal government had been struggling to hold on tight to a country where you want to do everything, and it's obvious, it is clear that you cannot manage everything. So now the devolution of powers that we have been talking about for so many years is eventually happening, bits and pieces. More has to happen. There is the other issue also, item at the state level. Financial independence for judiciary, financial independence for state legislature. And there has been also a fight for independence for, just skip my mind, local government. Local government autonomy.
Very important.
All these tiers of governance, these are things that we should begin to look at. It will take time. But the most important thing is to start on that journey.
Right.
And work on it vigorously. Let it be focal points, plan properly. And like the first professor said, people are beginning to vote candidates, not parties. That is also essential for the kind of country that we want to build. If you want a country that is going to become affluent, is going to become vibrant, and will give people profound satisfaction and want them to stay in the country, then these are things that need to be done.
Okay, and very briefly, because we've got about a minute or so left. Meanwhile, Nigeria's recent presidential election is still disputed and contested. Is it likely to also contribute to slowing things down before people feel confident enough to start actually investing in the economy? Maybe
to a degree. You know, people watch from outside and want to see some form of stability, and this is one thing that we also have to solve in Nigeria: political stability. If you're not stable, it affects every other thing, economy, security, and otherwise. I mean, right now, it's not only Nigeria and Africa, everywhere, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Mozambique, Ethiopia, so many countries facing the same problems, whether it's low-intensity warfare, subnational warfare, high-intensity conflict. We need to really, really rein this in. Once we have that consistently for 20, 30 years, then I think you begin to see the economic changes or values coming to the fore.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Constance Ikokwu, and of course she is a journalist, political affairs commentator, and a Rise News analyst. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.